When you think about the book of Revelation, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's those unforgettable and kind of terrifying images, and few are more iconic than the four horsemen. Today, we're diving into the fourth seal, and we're going to unravel a hidden mystery that might not be what you expect at all.
It all kicks off with this very ominous command. When I say the fourth seal, you're probably picturing the pale horse and its rider, death, right? A horrifying vision of judgment, sword, famine, pestilence, the whole deal. But what if we've been so focused on the destruction that we've been missing the real point? What if this isn't just a sentence, but a summons?
The material we're digging into today suggests that this moment, it's not just about unleashing destruction. No, it frames it as this huge act of revelation. It's an invitation to finally understand a secret that's been woven right into the fabric of Scripture for ages.
So, that leads us to the big question. If opening this seal is really an unveiling, what exactly is it unveiling? What is this hidden mystery that was supposedly kept under wraps for so long?
Well, here it is. According to these texts, the hidden mystery is nothing less than God's ultimate plan to send a Messiah. And this figure wasn't just coming to bring salvation, he was going to establish a new covenant. This is a huge deal, you know? It represents a totally new kind of relationship between humanity and God. And this whole plan, while being central to the entire story, was veiled for centuries, only hinted at in fragments and prophecies.
Right, so you might be wondering, did this idea just pop out of nowhere? The crucial thing to get is that, no, the groundwork for this was laid long before. But where do we even start looking for the clues? Where did the first hints of this grand cosmic plan begin to show up?
To answer that, we've got to go back, way back. We need to comb through the ancient scriptures of the Old Testament, where the prophets started talking about things to come, scattering these little puzzle pieces all across the centuries.
So let's think of the Old Testament not just as a history book, but as a trail of prophetic breadcrumbs. Each one gives us a tiny glimpse into this future plan, this hidden mystery of a coming Messiah and a whole new way forward. One of the biggest, most profound clues comes from the prophet Isaiah. He talks about a suffering servant. Now you have to understand, this was a shocking idea. This wasn't the conquering king that so many people were expecting. This was a figure who would take on the sins of others, a Messiah who would win through sacrifice, a total game changer. And then the plot thickens with the prophet Jeremiah. He gets even more specific, talking directly about a new covenant. This covenant wouldn't be about following old laws. It would be based on total forgiveness. I mean, what a radical idea. It was promising a complete reset of the relationship with God. And the clues just keep coming. Isaiah also mentioned an everlasting kingdom. Zechariah used this cryptic title, the branch, for someone who would build a new spiritual kind of temple. Daniel even laid out a prophetic timeline. And the Psalms, they hinted at an obedient sacrifice that would mean more than any ritual ever could.
So we've got all these pieces, right? A suffering servant, a new covenant, a righteous branch. For hundreds of years, they were just a puzzle. But then, according to the New Testament writers, the code is finally unlocked.
This is where one figure steps onto the scene and, according to the source material, brings all these ancient whispers together: Jesus. The entire New Testament narrative is built on this idea that he is the key, the one person who makes sense of all those Old Testament prophecies. He embodies the suffering servant and kicks off the new covenant.
And you can literally see it unfold over hundreds of years. Each prophet adds another layer to the mystery. It wasn't just one single event. It was this gradual revelation. You go from Isaiah's vision of a servant king to Jeremiah's promise of a new relationship to Daniel's timeline, and it all just builds and builds toward one climactic moment of fulfillment.
And that, my friends, brings us right back to where we started, the book of Revelation and the opening of that fourth seal. So the big question now is, how does this apocalyptic vision connect to centuries of prophecy?
Well, the connections are drawn so explicitly. For example, the New Testament book of Hebrews flat out says that Jesus fulfilled Jeremiah's promise of a new covenant. That title, the branch from Zechariah, that's applied to Jesus as the builder of a spiritual temple, not a physical one. And that obedient sacrifice from Isaiah in the Psalms, well, that's presented as his own ultimate act.
So in this interpretation, when that seal is opened, it's not just about judgment. It is the dramatic, cosmic unveiling of this very truth. It's the moment the whole mystery is laid bare for everyone to see, that the ancient prophecies have all reached their conclusion.
The fourth seal becomes the moment of total clarity. It's the point in this incredible vision where the full scope of God's redemptive plan, a plan that was hidden for ages but hinted at by prophets, is finally and fully revealed.
And that changes the meaning of that opening command completely. Come and see is no longer some horrifying call to witness destruction. It becomes this climactic invitation to look, to see the revealed mystery, to understand the suffering, the sacrifice, and the new covenant that was God's plan all along.
And completely reframes one of the most fearsome images in all of Scripture as a moment of profound revelation. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question, doesn't it? If this is the deep, redemptive mystery hidden inside the fourth seal, what other amazing truths are just waiting to be unveiled in the first, second, and third?